Let me ask you a question. What would you do if you had $1 million right now? Not tomorrow. Not in your dream. Today. Would you buy the car you've always dreamed of? Book that first-class flight to Dubai? Get that mansion on the hill? Finally get the attention of that girl or that guy you've always wanted? Pause. I'm not just asking. I'm talking to you. Yes, you, watching this right now. What would you do with $1 million if you had it today? Because believe it or not, your answer to that question can shape the next 5 years of your life. It might just determine whether you'll be wealthy beyond imagination or broke beyond repair. And I know you'd ask me, why? Now find a place to sit and let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there were two young men, both from humble beginnings. They didn't grow up rich, no silver spoons, but they grew up in the kind of places where wealth was always close enough to see, but just far enough to feel unreachable. One of them was a quiet gambler, not the type addicted to slot machines or poker tables, but the kind who believed in luck, in one day. Scratch cards, online raffles, bet slips. He believed that if he just kept trying, one day it would all hit. He worked small jobs, yes, but most of his energy went into looking for shortcuts. Not because he was lazy, but because he truly believed his big break would come fast. The other? He was a grinder, a thinker, a builder. The kind who wakes up early, chases jobs, reads books, learns from others, and keeps showing up even when it doesn't pay off immediately. He wasn't flashy, but he was consistent. And while the gambler waited for lightning to strike, the hustler was building a lightning rod. They saw the cars. They saw how girls would smile at the boys who had money. They saw how respect clung to the rich like perfume. And deep in their hearts, both of them made a promise that day they'd be rich, no matter what. One day, these two friends attended a seminar, but not just any seminar. It was the most talked about event in town, a massive gathering filled with hype and headlines. Tickets were hard to come by, but somehow they got theirs. Curiosity and hope pushed them through the doors that day. The auditorium buzzed with energy. Entrepreneurs, dreamers, skeptics, and seekers all packed into one space. It was supposed to be another mindset seminar, but this speaker wasn't interested in being typical. He had presence, charisma, and a strange kind of silence that made noise feel unnecessary. Midway through his talk, just as attention span started slipping, he did something that snapped the room awake. He closed his book, walked away from the podium, scanned the audience with a stare so sharp it felt like he was looking through souls, not at people. People shifted in their seats, phones lowered, even the fidgeters froze. And then, with calm confidence, he looked at the crowd and asked a simple question. What would you do with $1 million if you had it today? No build-up, no story, just a direct shot to the chest. Immediately, the gambler turned to his friend and whispered, "That's it. That's the moment I've been waiting for my whole life. Just imagine. If I hit that jackpot, our lives would change forever. We'd be the talk of the town. I'd fix you up, fix my mum up. It would all happen, just like that." As he was still caught in his excitement, the speaker, with perfect timing, followed up. "Go home and think about it. Write it down." Then, like he had only come for that one moment, he returned to his teaching, now with the full attention of the entire room. And then he said nothing else. No explanation, no conclusion. He told them, "Go home and think about it. Write it down." And he walked off stage. It seemed strange, but for one of the friends, that question became a haunting echo. That night was one of the most disturbing nights he had ever had. He was troubled by the question, unable to sleep. He kept rolling from his bed to his sitting room and back again, pacing in thought, his mind a whirlwind of uncertainty. What would I really do with $1 million? He whispered to himself over and over. The number felt too big to touch, too unreal to command. His thoughts jumped from idea to idea. Should I buy a car? He thought. Throw one of the biggest parties the country has ever seen? Then he shook his head. No. Maybe I should buy property. That sounds smarter. Moments later, he considered splitting it. Maybe I use half to set myself up for life, then the rest to enjoy and live lavishly, he muttered. But even then, it didn't feel right. The question kept eating at him like an itch in his soul that couldn't be scratched. This wasn't about spending. It was about something deeper. And that's when things began to shift. Buy a car, throw a party, live a luxury lifestyle. Then he remembered what the speaker said. This question will either make you rich in 5 years or make you poorer than you are today. And that hit him hard. So he started digging, reading, consulting different people. He needed to know what it truly meant to make money, not just any money, $1 million. That kind of sum was heavy, and he knew that understanding it would be the biggest mind-unlocking moment of his life. As the days went by, something shifted inside him. The question he had once brushed off now consumed him. He realized something powerful. Wealth is not built by what you consume, but by what you reproduce. That was the turning point. That's when it all made sense. This wasn't just about making the money, it was about maintaining and multiplying it. And with that clarity, a new path opened in his mind. Both friends kept hustling and building like usual. The gambler kept trying his luck with different games, testing online raffles, weekly bets, and occasional lottery tickets. He wasn't addicted, but he believed. Deep down, he was sure that one day he'd hit it big. The other friend? He occasionally played too, but never with hope, just a way to kill time. He wasn't betting on luck, he was betting on hard work. A guy has to do what a guy has to do, he'd often say. Then one afternoon, like many afternoons when you're broke and your thoughts drift to impossible wealth, the gambler started fantasizing again. He remembered the seminar. He remembered the question, what would you do with $1 million? He smiled to himself. I'd travel the world, party like no tomorrow. In his mind, the money wasn't a tool for progress. It was a ticket to pleasure. He dozed off with that thought still fresh in his head. Moments after waking up, his phone buzzed. It was an SMS from a lottery game he had played the night before. The message confirmed it. He had won $1 million. His dream of a luxury life had just begun. But in his excitement, he forgot one thing: his closest friend. He didn't call, didn't show up. He moved on, immediately. The friend who had stood beside him all those years, forgotten like an old chapter. The money had come, and so had the distance. And what did he do? Everything he said he would. He traveled, he dated women, he bought cars, took flights, stayed in luxury hotels. And for 2 years, it was everything he ever dreamed. But by year 3, the cars were gone, the trips had stopped. He began selling off everything he had bought just to survive, down to the point where he could barely afford a meal. Now let's talk about the first friend, the planner. He didn't win the lottery, but he was prepared. Opportunities started coming, small deals here and there, investments, partnerships, projects. The money didn't come in one lump sum, but it came steadily. And one day, he looked at his account and realized something. He had made his first million. He ran to his journal, pulled out the blueprint he had written over the years, and started executing it with precision. 5 years later, he wasn't just a millionaire, he was a multi-millionaire. His money was working for him. He could afford to spend now because his systems kept reproducing. Let me break it down for you. Reproduction builds wealth. Consumption alone destroys it. One friend used money to build systems. The other used it to feed desires. And now, the one who had everything has nothing. The one who once had nothing has everything. And so I ask you again, what would you do with $1 million if you had it today? Would you spend it? Or would you plan it? Would you let the moment pass? Or would you let it change your life? The difference between fantasy and reality is preparation. When the opportunity comes, it's too late to start thinking. By then, you either execute what you've already imagined, or you waste the opportunity. So what are you doing today to prepare for your $1 million moment? Write it down. Make a plan. Build a vision that reproduces, not just consumes. Because life is not about wishful thinking. It's about intentional preparation. Even if you're 70 years old, it's not too late. What matters is that you understand this. Reproduction brings wealth. Consumption without reproduction brings ruin. Your moment might come today. It might come tomorrow. The only question is, will you be ready when it does?